on October 2nd, 2024, we've got a new moon in Libra solar eclipse. This happens at 2:49 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Calculate that for your own time zone. This is a partial eclipse, also known as an annular eclipse or a ring of fire eclipse. And in today's video, I want to cover the three main things that you need to know about this eclipse, because we've got some weird energies in effect right now you may have noticed, but not known, like, oh, where's this coming from? Well, the things are up. So the first thing to know is that relationships, peace agreements, lawsuits, the arts, and Black Moon Lilith are all up at this time. Black Moon Lilith, I talk about her quite a bit. She is a trauma marker in the chart. In the body, she can be associated with autoimmune reactions, histamine reactions, menopause, miscarriage, a lot of female issues, abortion. But in kind of the larger archetype, she's also tied in with sexual abuse, with narcissistic abuse, questions around boundaries of any sort. And so Lilith is conjunct this new moon in Libra eclipse. So the new moon in Libra, the sun, the moon are at 10 degrees, 3 minutes of Libra, Black Moon Lilith at the time of the eclipse, 10 degrees, 21 minutes of Libra. So very tight conjunction there. And then Mercury is at 11 degrees of Libra. So what that will indicate is that these Lilith issues are likely to be displayed in the form of lawsuits, calls for justice, things that are involved in the arts, because again, Libra rules the arts, so we could see things, more things in the music industry, possibly in the film industry. That's often more connected with Pisces, but still it's a kind of art, and Venus ruling Libra also rules the arts. And so we're likely to see those sorts of Lilith issues play out in that larger context. Also, questions of peace, possible war crimes, things that are happening to women and children as a result of Aries war. We may see calls for that to end, because this is a south node eclipse. So even though it's a new moon, we're emphasizing more endings. So if you've had imbalances in a relationship, if you've had issues where your own sovereignty has been either suppressed or repressed or thrown into question, those issues are likely to come up more at the time of this eclipse and for the 6 months afterwards. So that's number one. For people that have anything between, say, 5 degrees and 15 degrees of the cardinal signs, so that's Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, you are likely to feel this much more than most people. I did want to let people know I've got a special this month on a half-hour, kind of like a mini astrology reading or intuitive coaching session. I will leave a link to my monthly specials below, so check those out. Also, if it's less of a personal question, but more of a question about, things that other people might also benefit from knowing, feel free to ask Laura Bruno in the comments below, and I'll either respond in the comments, or if it's a larger topic, I can maybe make another video on it at some point. So thank you for that. So moving on to number 2, a cardinal grand cross is still in effect. So I talked about a cardinal grand cross, and again, the cardinal signs are Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, and a grand cross means that there are points at each of the ends of a cross, or if you looked at it like a diamond and then it was bisected each way, then that's the cross inside. So there was a cardinal grand cross in effect at the time of the Pisces eclipse, but there's another one still in effect with this eclipse, and it's just kind of moved up a little bit. So the one with the Pisces eclipse was really affecting more like 6 to 8 degrees of the cardinal signs, and it was involving the nodal axis itself. This one at the time of the Libra eclipse is actually more around like 10 to 11 degrees, but all the way up to 15 degrees. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to put up the chart here. And you'll see we've got Salacia at 10 degrees of Aries. Now, Salacia is very connected with mermaid energy. She was Neptune's wife, and she's really kind of hard to pin down, even in terms of like the type of object she is. So she's out there like a trans-Neptunian object, but she sort of acts like a very long centaur. Basically, Salacia kind of does her own thing, especially in Aries. But of course, with Salacia at 10 Aries, exactly opposite the eclipse, and Black Moon Lilith and Mercury at 10 to 11 degrees of Libra, you know, Salacia sounds a lot like salacious, right? Etymologically, they don't actually have anything to do with each other. Eric Francis, the astrologer, has really kind of done a deep dive with this. However, I find that, you know, a lot of times there are these echoes anyway. And so especially with Black Moon Lilith involved and those lawsuits in Libra, when we get Salacia there exactly opposing that, we're likely to see more of that kind of energy come up. So just to keep that in mind. But then we've got Mars at 15 Cancer, and keep in mind the U.S. natal sun is at 13 Cancer. So the U.S. as a country, the identity of the United States is very much involved in this cardinal grand cross. And then at 11 degrees of Capricorn, so squaring the eclipse and Salacia and opposing Mars and Cancer, we've got Ceres. Now, Ceres was involved in the Pisces eclipse. Again, she's connected with food, with the harvest, with nourishing, with ideas of like healthy diet or good food sources, organic produce, that kind of thing. But she's also connected with this kind of mama bear energy, sort of like an angel mom, or like enough is enough. You are not going to rape my daughter. So Ceres, Demeter, same goddess, just Greek Roman. But her daughter Persephone, also known as Proserpina, was kidnapped and brought into the underworld of Pluto, Hades, and then raped. And then she was trying to leave, but she had eaten a pomegranate seed, so she got stuck there, kind of like getting stuck in the fairy realm. Ceres got so grief-stricken by this that the whole land went barren, and that became kind of a negotiating tactic on her part, where she was able to rescue her daughter from the underworld. But as anything with Pluto, there's a transformation involved, and so Persephone became a queen, and so she was required to return to the underworld, you know, during the winter season. So we've got Ceres in Capricorn, which in the northern hemisphere, in, you know, Greek and Roman mythology, that's the winter season. And so we have winter Ceres involved in this, which again emphasizes more of that, you know, mama bear energy. And then also Mars, the warrior in Cancer, the sign of the mother, we get more of that. So we have this emotional reactivity, but there are some other factors involved right around 8 and 7 of Capricorn. So these were more involved in the Pisces eclipse, but they are not out of the mix yet. And that is Quawa, and that's Quaoar, Quawa. And Quawa is kind of this sudden flash of truth, like a lightning bolt that kind of brings this amazing spiritual vibration. So sort of like Uranus and Neptune combined. And when we've got Quawa involved, we're talking about something that could be like a spontaneous illumination of truth. We've also got Pholus there. Pholus is the small thing, big effect centaur, also connected with the butterfly effect. So things where some little thing happens over here and you don't realize like it triggered a whole thunderstorm over here, or a tsunami of truth. You know, you don't know what these small things are in terms of how big their effects are likely to be. So at the time of this October 2nd eclipse, there is that cardinal grand cross. As Stephen Forrest, the astrologer, talks about, cardinal grand cross is really connected with boldly initiating change or attracting support for change. And so you may have noticed in the chart for the Washington, D.C. Location, Mars at 15 Cancer is right on the descendant. That is the cusp of the house of relationships, so connected with Libra, but also cusp of the house of known enemies. And so another way that this could play out is that, the enemies of the United States suddenly become much more visible, and we're able to attract what is needed to kind of turn the tide, to change things. Now, that can also happen, again, if you've got anything from, say, 5 to 15 degrees or so of the cardinal signs, that Grand Cross is also affecting you personally. So it's going to depend on what those points are, how you're being triggered. But for everyone, we're looking at a time of massive change. So number 3 to keep in mind is that there are several wildcard energies in effect right now. This goes beyond normal astrology. So we've got a comet in our solar system right now. It's often called Comet A3. And this is thought to be as big of a deal as like Halley's Comet. And it's in visibility from late September into October. The closest point to the sun is actually happening on October 3rd, so right around the same time frame as this October 2nd eclipse, which in some parts of the world is October 3rd. But in any case, this comet will be visible, especially in early morning hours, and it's going to have the closest approach to our sun at the time of this eclipse. Kind of a big deal, wild card. We don't know the energies of this. It's not connected to a specific mythological figure, so it's kind of anyone's guess how this is going to play out. But historically, visible comets do tend to usher in major change. So that's a wild card energy there. Also, I mentioned the closest point to the sun, October 3rd, but the closest point to Earth is actually October 12th, which is right around the time that Pluto stations direct in Capricorn for the last time. So in some parts of the world, it's October 11th. In other parts, it's October 12th. But again, the station energy, it just like magnifies the Plutonian energy at the time, this revealing of dark secrets, especially dark secrets that are connected with Capricorn, the top-down authority, the leaders of industry, the leaders of nations, leaders of religions. That stuff is up, and again, in connection, very tight connection with the pathway of this comet. So that's a wild card energy. Anything goes there. But for the next 2 months or so, we've also got an extra moon, a mini moon in Earth's atmosphere. So there is an asteroid that is in Earth's orbit from September 29th until November 25th. This one, it's a small asteroid. It's like a football field size or something. So it's not huge. They're not thinking that it's going to hit Earth. But nonetheless, this is different energy. We don't know exactly how this is going to play out. We've got the moon energy doing some major things, but we've got this mini moon, which we'll have to see how that plays out on individuals in terms of emotions or things that get brought up, or does it change tides? We'll have to see about that. And then another wild card energy. This is far away, like 3,000 light years away. But this is in the Corona Borealis constellation, which is a 7-star constellation and also known as the Northern Crown. So there's kind of like a dark spot in the Northern Crown, which is a binary star system. And this is a white dwarf and a red giant. And about every 80 years or so, there's what's called a nova, like an explosion of what's called the blaze star. So this dark area suddenly, ignites, and we get this like flash in the sky. No one knows exactly when that's going to happen. It was last done in 1946, But astronomers are predicting sometime this fall it's going to go nova. So the difference between a nova and a supernova is that a supernova destroys everything, whereas a nova is just like this big burst of light, a big, enormous explosion, like a nuclear explosion of massive energy. So again, we don't know, like, what are the wild card effects? So we've got this quawa energy, we've got Pholus, the small thing, big effect energy, we've got an eclipse, we've got a mini moon asteroid, we've got a comet, and we've got this impending nova. So if you are discouraged about what's happening in our world, just know that it's not linear, and it's not even straight astrological right now. It's weird, wonky, anything goes, strange things could happen. So you definitely want to be going into yourself and clearing out anything that doesn't belong. So, a good time to do like a parasite cleanse or social media fast, or just to kind of shore up your relationships, who is of benefit to you, who is a constant drag. Just, pay attention, especially if there's any kind of abusive type situation in there. So I promised a bonus at the end of this. People who read my blog already know about this, but every quarter I create North Node horoscopes, and these are different than sun sign horoscopes. I think they're more accurate. That's the feedback I get from people who read them as well. And the reason for that is that they don't look at your sun sign, they look at your North Node point in your natal chart. And so the South Node in a natal chart is kind of like the skills and the patterns that you came in with. And the North Node is more what your soul is wanting to experience during this lifetime. And so I only write them once a quarter just because it doesn't change that much, but it is impacted by things like eclipses and just, if it's Libra season or Scorpio season, things like that. So I will put the link to that below. Again, every quarter I do that. And it's free. You don't have to give me your email or anything like that. So it's just something that I offer. So Timothy Glenn and I will be recording another video soon on Pluto stationing direct in Capricorn for the last time. And so keep an eye out for that. But you guys have a wonderful eclipse. I do love Libra season. It's likely to be a little odd this year, but remember to tap into the beauty. There's a lot of ugliness in our world, but with some of these wildcard energies, we have the potential to create something just massively beautiful and something so new and just so loving, like unconditional love, so much of that energy, so much of the beauty energy. So you guys take care, peace, and I'll catch you next time.